So Andrew, one of the most unusual applications of amosine bonding that we've heard of is the work here you've done with elephants at Auckland Zoo.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about that.
We've been quite privileged, really. We've been open. Our eyes have been opened with a visit that Jan Fennell has come over and spent some time with us, and I guess we've had a few issues with elephants, and traditional methods of working with elephants has always been you needed to dominate these animals. You always have to get everything you ask for, otherwise you're setting up, for a situation where you might get a keeper hurt. And so always having that in the back of your mind, you're very cautious about changing, I guess, the way that you originally taught your handling techniques. Having said that, I've always grown up thinking that, being in this position, you always need to think 10 years from now, I want to be doing something different. I want to be progressing these elephants to outside of what we're doing now. And part of that was the way that we worked with these guys. We had issues of confidence with Burma, especially in a washdown inside the barn, laying over on his side. It's the most vulnerable position you can ever put an elephant in, because obviously it takes a while for them to get up. And again, previously it was always she had to do it, and if she didn't do it, well, there's numerous ways of getting it, but it's always against the will of the elephant.
There's always coercion.
And so there was always this fear of, if I don't do it, well, then there's going to be this huge consequence, which isn't necessarily nice for the elephant. And so looking at the way that everyone's working with their dogs, it was a case of looking more at their behaviour, how their social dynamics work, and what can we adopt from this methodology to elephants. And playing around with it was actually kind of scary, because again, we hadn't seen certain behaviours. So some of the responses that we were getting from Burma was things that we'd never seen before. Which is in some ways concerning, but then also very good.
Exciting as well, because it meant you were getting through.
And we were learning as we were going. So things that we tried, for example, if she did refuse it, well, we looked at sending her to the back of the paddock and separating her from Kasjin, essentially, even though she was in visual contact. But she wasn't allowed to hang out with Kasjin. We were having fun with Kasjin, making a big deal out with the other elephant that was here. And then she would stand out the back, using our body positioning, we could hold her out here without even saying a word. And then you got a look and change in her face. She thought she was pretty cool at first. Oh, great, I got away with this, I don't have to do it. She'd start eating, but then she really wanted to come back to the group, to the group or to the herd. And then she got this big sulky look on her face, and her trunk dropped to the ground. And that's when we would initiate her to come and approach us by changing our body position.
Because she changed her body language, you then changed yours.
And this was trial and error all the way through all of this. But basically what you got a far better response, purely because you're really working that brain out, and her having to decide, okay, well, actually I'd sooner do this. That was kind of, being out on my own is quite vulnerable. There's predators out there, and I would sooner be in with that herd. And she actually went straight into that behaviour really, really quickly. But then it became, well, okay, and then he started testing that, because it worked originally for like first couple of weeks, but then she started testing that, so we had to think of other things, essentially a consequence to her actions, but more so working with her, actually thinking about, well, not physically getting hurt here, but psychologically there's better things that I'll sooner be doing. I'll sooner have fun, happy keepers, doing various things, because, keeping it interesting for them. I'd sooner be doing that than actually being standing out the end of the paddock, or while Kasjin's inside having a bath, being out here on my own, all those sorts of things that we could sort of use against her as such. But now again, like I say, you've got this elephant that's far more responsive, but more in tune to the way that you're thinking. Do you feel you're more in tune with the way she's thinking? Exactly. But it's still foreign for both of us, really, because there's still this, I'm not an elephant. I never will be an elephant. But I definitely think that we're learning a lot more about behaviour than we ever have. Whereas before it was always, the training that we were doing was all about how we can control these animals to get what we want, rather than getting these elephants wanting to work for us because we're neat people to be around and we fulfil a really good leadership role. And that's what we're trying to establish with these guys, is what are their qualities to fulfilling a good leadership. Again, it's appreciating that they are the creatures they are and working with that nature rather than against it. Exactly. And it's interesting that you said that you would, we've got Burma with us right at the moment, and she's just tucking into some food, and handing us a bucket.
Giving us a look at the moment. Like,
Okay.
what are you doing? She just sniffed the recording device, but not edible, so she's not interested. It's interesting that you mentioned that you would, isolate her if you like, and then play with Kasjin inside. So this is something we say with some dogs. If you want a dog to do something it doesn't, and you've got another dog, and that one does it, then spend all the time playing with that dog. The dog that didn't do what you want saw that, wants in on it, and then we'll think about doing it. And you've got exactly that with Burma. We'll move out of the way. She's pushing a big log. You might see that on the film, because play is important as well. You spend time, sort of up on the mound and pushing the logs. That play is important.
That's right. It's a huge part of an elephant's life and society as well. And Burma, being only 26 years old, is a real playful elephant.
Yeah.
And but we need to get in there and get dirty with her as well. It's like jumping in the pool with her, swimming, jumping in the mud wallow with her. And again, it's just, she needs to see that side to us, that affectionate side to us, that we actually do care. Whereas there was always this macho, I had to be a man working elephants because I had to be strong enough to deal with the size of these elephants, yet they can crush you in a heartbeat. And it's changing that around to going, well, they're very affectionate animals. We need to show our affection towards them, and then over the years of working with them, then they become more responsive. So the longer you work with them, then the stronger that relationship will be.
Yeah.